time to message them to ask what Heimer was. They restarted the lobby. So that one's going to be a nice surprise for all of us as we go through the picks and bans.
Because interestingly enough, actually, we didn't mention Zyra mid, but Cowtard, who is now obviously going for Copenhagen Wolves in the LCS, the EU version, used to play a lot of Zyra in mid. And has actually played it recently, so you never know, it could very well be Zyra in mid lane, but we're going to find out right now.
Okay, so they're going to fight the AD mid laner with an AD mid laner. That is interesting. I like that choice. I must admit, I do like that.
Yeah, because Talon typically excels because he can silence and then burst down an AP mid. Doesn't do a great deal against Riven. And Featherven is known for his very strong Riven play, so I like this pick a lot.
I do. I like this game a lot. Game 2 is looking interesting, just like Game 1 was. I cannot wait for this. We are about to go into game. We're about to head into the delay period. So while you guys are having a couple of minutes before the game, make sure you check out our friends over at Esports Venture. If you type !bet into chat, I believe a link comes up to Esports Venture. If not, scroll down the page. There's a link just down at the bottom of our Twitch page. Head over to their site because once our semi-finals are determined at the end of today, I believe you can bet on the semi-finals and finals. So when they become available to bet, make sure you get your bets in. But we are heading into game number 2 of this best of 3 in the quarterfinals between Reason Gaming and Cloud9 Eclipse. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
After they came and destroyed the land, there was one spark of hope left for all of mankind.
And we're back here on Summoner's Rift for game number 2 between Cloud9, Eclipse, and Reason Gaming. And it's going to be a good one here. Loads of changes in the meta in this game, Stress. And I know you're excited, so am I. So let's just crack on into this game.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one with the picks. I had to go and refresh my mind on a couple of little stats here for a couple of the champions that have been picked up. Of course, Irelia is kind of slipping back into a couple of top lane matchups, and Wicked being one of the big proponents of Irelia in that top lane from Alliance. So just interesting stuff all around the board, actually. You look at Irelia top, Talon mid for Reason Gaming, not something we see standard. And on the other side, Ryze, who has come back in. And the answer to this Talon for Bivens Riven, and you have to wonder, Riven must have faced up against Senkux's Talon once or twice on ladder. So maybe it's a counterplay from him.
Yeah, it could very much be the case, and it was the last pick as well, so they're saving it to the last pick, saving it to try and catch them off guard. But interestingly enough, last time around, both top laners did actually go down to bot lane. This time it's going to be standard, both dual lanes occupying bot.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that's to do with the way that Irelia-Ryze matchup is going to go, and I have to feel that this extra sustain that Binsu is going to have on Irelia, of course her auto attacks will give her that added lifesteal as well, but that extra sustain is going to allow her to survive through some of the early damage that Ryze will give out that we saw out of Odo Amne, but Odo Amne is going to have a fair amount of damage in this very, very early game. We'll see how that ends up trading back and forth.
Yeah, we saw a very similar approach last time around when he was facing off against Binsu's Shyvana, where he played super aggressive level 1 to hit 2 first, and then from there on in was just bullying Binsu away. Does have the range advantage, so looks to be exactly the same mentality going forward into this game too.
Then I look over to this middle lane, as there's a lot of engage around in bottom lane as well. I look over to the middle lane, and I look at a Riven lane, and of course Riven did have adjustments on her base health regeneration, and a couple of other little tweaks and stats, but Riven is a very early game focused laner who will attempt to burst you as early as possible into the game and then just shove you out of the lane and get experience, get the item advantage, and really put the pressure on from there. I wonder how that'll go against this Talon, because you can see Senkux playing for the bit more of a sustain lane with that flask.
Yeah, and right now in mid, it's pretty much neck and neck with Talon pushing a bit harder, so it needs to be careful because Ku can appear out of the shadows out of nowhere and suddenly get that kill. We have mentioned before how good Ku's Lee Sin is, and that's definitely going to be burning in the back of Senkuz's mind.
And you can see in that middle lane the Rake going out through the minion wave just to try and get some farm and push a little bit as well, because they really, really don't want Riven to get rolling in this game, and Senkux is having to farm out with Rake to try and make sure of that, and of course has put that second point in it as well. So again, it's not quite as an explosive a middle lane as I think we are anticipating as of yet, but that flask start of course tells us that Senkux doesn't really want Riven to be at a position to engage, so they're keeping the lane spacing fairly far.
Yep, interesting enough so far, Ku has not attempted a gank. He's got to level 4, has double buffs right now, so that could change in the next few moments as he does pick up that... Did he start with longsword or machete? I didn't quite catch it. Either way, he has both right now.
I have a feeling he started with machete, though you're right, I didn't actually see that. So
the reason I'm asking is because longsword is in his first item spot, and normally that indicates he started with it, but it would be quite an interesting start, maybe going just for raw damage.
It would do. Apologies, I didn't actually take that one. He started with machete, 100%. I went back very quickly on the hope that nothing would happen, but he did in fact start with machete. I was going to say longsword would be a bit of a weird start. There's the engaging
top lane. Odame's taking so much damage. He's going to be the recipient of first blood. This time around, Wukong picks that one up. So Reason Gaming starting off on the right foot and taking some revenge for game number 1.
Yeah, I think Reason Gaming will breathe a sigh of relief from that, and really they were just letting Odo Amne play very aggressive. You saw in game number 1, he was extending very far into the lane to push out and be as aggressive as possible, so punishing that already. So Reason Gaming adapting from game 1 into game 2 here.
They certainly are, and Wukong picking up that first blood. He's already building towards the Elder Lizard right now. Double long swords and, of course, the Spirit Stone. Q waiting in the wings here at bot lane, waiting for that right moment to pounce. But that's a Pyromania Barney D on Annie, so it's going to be difficult to get close enough to actually lock any of these kills down.
Yeah, they've got to be a bit careful here. I'm not sure this is where Ku wants to be, and Ku knows it as well. He's not really in a comfortable position to be diving there, so good read out by Ku to back off. And going back to this Irelia matchup, interestingly enough, in the Riot Challenger Series, Irelia was played in one game and won one game. Now, that's not a stat to write home about, but when you compare that to the LCS stats of Irelia only really has about a 33% win rate in LCS, so it's not like she's a pick that you can play in any situation. Here's the aggressive play from Forbidden.
Oh man, that was a lot of damage. So Senka's is like, peace out, I'm just going to use the Shadow Assault and get myself away. So, and it's both ultimates burnt in mid lane.
Yeah, and you look at that mid lane though, Forbidden's Riven pick is working out very well, and somewhere in the back of my mind I'm pretty sure Forbidden is very well known for Riven, and it's not even in the back of my mind. We've seen Forbidden on Riven a couple of times because it rhymes. Wow, I didn't even mean that to happen, and that just happened. But yeah, Forbidden is pretty well versed with playing Riven in that middle lane, so not a surprise to see the advantage out already.
I was about to say Tupac, is that you? Because you dropped some dope rhymes on me there.
Yeah,
Why would I
sorry.
say dope? Like Pulse is starting to ruin my life, man, with these words he comes out with. But regardless, this is League of Legends we're casting, strangely enough. So bot lane, quite a lot of
I feel
poke
like we're
from both
rapping
these.
it, to be honest,
We
at
are.
this point.
We are definitely rapping it.
That'd be horrible.
Weedle eats a fireball to his backside, and the duo lane for Cloud9 are going to recall.
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm just still trying to get over our musical endeavors here. Beansu's going to go aggressive in that top lane.
He is. Domine seems alright though, and he's going to pop his ultimate down, burn through some of this creep wave. So both ultimates again have been used at top, but both ultimates don't have a huge cooldown, so they'll be back up before they know it.
And I'm really kind of wondering how this top lane is going to go as the game goes on, because we've seen how Ryze scales through the game. Ryze only gets better throughout the game. As soon as you give him the ability to farm up and stack that Tear of the Goddess with the Rod of Ages, gets very tanky and is able to output a lot of damage in the late game. But I wonder how this Irelia will go. Typically he doesn't have that amazing late game scaling, and we're on a pause here during an invade. It's actually Reason that have paused this game as well. Apparently Senkex is having issues with ping right now.
Never a good thing while casting to have pauses, but hopefully we will have some more information to give you guys to let you know what's going on. And as you say, this is in a pretty precarious position right now because Forbidden and Ku are going for that red buff, and red buff is nearly down. And whereas Wukong is close here, Stress, Talon not so much. So I think they can probably take this red pretty comfortably, plus the fact that the bot lane actually recalled from Reason Gaming. So that's probably one of the reasons why Cloud9 decided to go so aggressive, knowing that bot lane wouldn't be close to contest it.
Yeah, that's actually gonna I would imagine if this plays out the way I'm envisioning it, as you said, is that Forbidden and Ku are gonna head out down through the bottom tri-bush. That I guess is what's going to happen. Ku has Smite available as well, so it's one of those situations that as this unpauses, I would expect the Smite to go down and Cloud9 to get out of there. But it really depends on whether they crossed over that ward. I would imagine they did, the ward in middle lower river bush. I have a feeling they crossed over that as they went down to this red area. So they do know that, or Reason do know that this is happening. You see Trashy already reacting too.
Yep, well, Sencooks has quit and reconnected, so fingers crossed we'll be ready to go live once again very shortly. But in the meanwhile, just having a quick mosey down on the items, anything really standing out to you? I think overall it's fairly standard. I mean, as far as my knowledge of Talon goes, it's fairly standard. He's gone pickaxe and longsword. So is that anything out of the ordinary for you? Maybe going for something like a Hydra?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a Hydra. I don't see what else that would be. But it has been a little while since I've seen Talon. So the readies have come through. Looks like we're going to unpause. Will Cloud9 get out of here alive?
I think they'll probably fairly comfortably get away from this one. Yeah, there you go. The red was picked up from Ku, who did use his smite there. to just finish that one off. And as we were speaking about, with the bot lane nowhere near the action, it's a pretty comfortable red steal.
It is, but they're going to go over to blue. Reason looks like they've called this one, but I don't know whether they'll really decide to go in on this.
Yeah, same kind of story. It's going to be a 2v2 when you're in no man's land, and it's very easy for Voidal and Hyanan to just rotate up to blue, and you can suddenly find yourself in a 4 versus 2 situation. So, Reason Gaming are actually going for the red buff now.
It's kind of odd because Reason are following Cloud9 around, and the problem is Reason are only ever 2, and they're calling this out.
Cyclone will land on both. There's a Shadow Assault as well. Ku's taking so much damage, will be the first to fall in this trade. However, the return damage is huge from Forbidden, who picks up the kill onto Lee Sin. Now chasing after Trash. You need to be careful. You need to respect Beansu because he's going to do a ton of damage himself, and he will claim that kill onto Feberven, just overextending, getting a bit too cocky for their own good, and that is going to be a 3-1 globally right now in this game.
It is, and down in that bottom lane at the same time, we saw the ultimate come out from Barney D, and it looks like Odoamne's going to pick up Trashy here in the jungle.
That was just greed, I have to say there, Stress. Like, taking the wolves when you know you're low, and Odomne is lurking in the shadows, it's not a call I would have made personally, but Trashy obviously wanted to keep himself into contention here and to get some more farm. It ended up backfiring horribly, though.
As you said, it's very greedy. I'm actually wondering whether there are many situations where that actually... I'm going to have a look at his gold right now. So he's currently sat on about 130, so I don't know. Not really any items that he was within Wolves' gold range of. I didn't see whether he actually completed the Wolves, though. Even
worse than that is, well, actually, hold that thought. Feberven's going deep right now on Senkook, who again uses Shadow Assault to escape. The point I was going to make, though, Stress, is not only is it a kill, that transferred double buffs to Rise. That's a blue and red buff on Rise. It could not get any worse for Beansu. He's probably like, thanks a lot, mate. Now I'm completely screwed at top lane.
And now that Rise has the basis of his core items completed with the Catalyst and the Tier, of course Catalyst still yet to be converted into a Rod of Ages, but now that he has that base of his core, those double buffs are just going to help him pressure that lane and farm it out. So they're not really at a situation where the Aurelia pick is actually going to deter Rise from being able to get into this game either, because he's already at that point where he just needs farm now to complete that Rod.
He does, and Feberven's Riven is absolutely decimating Senkooks. That's a beautiful flash, though, to get away. Q was landed from Ku. Is he going to go in? No, he's not. Realizing that Trashy was there and had Cyclone available.
The thing is, we know Ku. I don't think it would have even mattered to him that Trashy was there. Had that spacing been okay for Ku to follow up, I honestly feel like Ku would have gone in for that and got the kill.
Definitely. And another thing as well, probably they wanted the Dragon instead, which they have just picked up. Barney D lands a nice Annie there. Annie's tippers, I should say, onto 2 or 3 players. Crystallin's taking the brunt damage right now from Ku. It's going in. Shadow Assault comes across. Is it going to be enough to take down Zyra? Yes, it is. Here comes a Boomerang Blade, turning it back around. 2 for 0 trade. In fact, a 3 for 0 trade in Reason Gaming's favor. But Cloud9 did pick up the Dragon.
That works out really nicely, actually. You have to feel for Reason right now. Even though Cloud9 got the Dragon, we're not at the stage where 3 kills is really worth the same as the Dragon. Remember, of course, ever since the preseason, Dragon is worth less earlier on in the game with the different average levels. So we're at a stage where that maybe trades even at best for Cloud9, but you have to feel like Reason will take the advantage from that one. They have themselves a gold lead now as well. 1300 is the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, somewhat of a turning of tables here, because if you take your mind back to the last game, Stress, it was pretty much all in Cloud9's favor from the get-go. They were making the plays, they were getting the kills. Odomne is trying his best to go off against Beansu. As I'm talking there, actually, a kill goes down onto the jungler of Trashy against Q. Didn't quite catch that one because there's a lot of aggression at top, and now bot lane is also going to have some action. As the mid goes down, Talon will be claiming that kill onto Q himself. It's kind of like everyone's overextending. Top lane now, another kill goes down. Beansu picks it up onto Odomne.
You can't even get a second there to breathe, but that was kind of Ku just getting caught out, seeing where he was at the right time after crossing a ward. So that happened in mid lane, then top lane. Beansu just traded up against Odoamne, who hadn't completed his items at that time and was a little bit vulnerable to the attack from Aurelia. So overall, I think that was 2 kills, a turret, 2 kills, 2 Reason Gaming, a turret, 2 Cloud9. So just trying to keep on track of everything here.
It's so weird when you have those games where there's like 3 kills in separate places, trying to keep on top of all of it. But the end result, as you say, is that Reason Gaming, they are keeping their noses ahead, just under 1,000 gold in it, and that's pretty much going to come down to the fact that they have got a lot more kills, as you can see right now. The question is, can Cloud9 steady the ship right now? Ku is trying to make some plays at bot.
I'm a little bit worried for Reason the longer this game goes on, though. And the reason for that is, if you'll excuse the pun, their sieging potential, when you look at it, they've got 3 melee champions, and Civic, who is short range, but they've caught Voidal.
Well, that's just a dead plant. There's not too much more to say about that one. Very opportunistic play from Reason Gaming, and Voidal kind of caught out, I have to say.
So, to kind of elaborate on that point, of course Civic can clear waves very quickly, but actual tower pushing, she's very short range, so kind of suffers there with regards to actually taking towers down. So they've got good wave clear with Civic, but that's about it. Beansu gets flashed on by Odoamne, but will get out of there.
Yeah, both summoners were used to try and secure that kill, but Beansu will be able to escape to live to fight for another day. Meanwhile, at bot lane, there was heavy push from Severe and Annie after they picked up that kill and foiled.
Now it looks like Chrisland is going to try and land some damage on that turret, but I don't think that's the smartest place to be right now.
Well, they need to be careful because they're a long way from home, and Barney D has just been caught there from grasping roots. However, the follow-up damage is huge from that boomerang blade. Meanwhile, mid lane, Cyclone going down from Trashy. Sencooks is underneath the tower, will be flashing away, but Vivian follows him through the Wraith Camp wall. Ku not able to land the Q on Trashy, who will be able to escape, but another one for Zero Trade.
But this is a really nice rotate out from Cloud9. It looks like they want to turn the aggression up in this middle lane. You can see they're going to push through this wave, then look for the tower. They already know that Trashy was kind of low off the back of that engagement. And with Odoamne here as well, they have the numbers advantage to do this if they want. It looks like they want to go for the fight.
Oh, Crystalline taking a lot of damage there from both Ku and the Ace in the hole. Does Ku have the follow-up damage right now? No, he doesn't. And it will be a kill picked up from Crystalline, who's now going to put his tail between his legs and try and run away. Barney D taking a lot of punishment from Darnay, who himself gets caught out from Trashy, but they can't follow that one up because a very fed up Forbidden is on the outskirts. So they are just both going to back away and try and regroup. Meanwhile, Beansu at top is trying to push down this tower.
And this is one of my bugbears about watching teams sometimes is Cloud9 had that turret. There was no way that Reason could have got in to defend that, and Ku already had them zoned, but decided to go aggressive. The communication wasn't there with the team, and Ku dies for nothing there. There was no reason for him to even be there to die, and all he's ended up doing is, I think he ended up passing the blue over to Chrisland, so all they've done is allow Civic to wave clear even better now.
Do you think it could have been a lapse in communication? Because I think it would have been a kill on Crystalline had he not popped his barrier. Maybe they thought the barrier was down or they just had enough burst damage. Because as you say, Ku went super deep there for no reward.
Yeah, I think that may very well be the case. I feel like it was just miscommunication that completely led to that. I feel like Ku knows his limits, but Odoamne might not know his right now.
Oh, this should be a very dead rise. Indeed it will be. As Sencooks does take down that kill, and Ku was in position, but just a few steps away. Couldn't do a great deal about that one.
And they're punishing Odoamne, trying to farm out the lane and being very aggressive in the lane as well. And it's something we saw in Game 1 was how far Odoamne was always pushed up. And Reason Gaming have got themselves a considerable lead here. Dragon just spawns. Which team will be the one to rotate? Cloud9 had the timer. Looks like they're going to be the first ones in.
Yep, Sonic Wave resonating strike combo on Dragon from Ku. And they're looking to try and take this one down before Trashy can get close to Smite, steal it away. Feberven gets stunned out from Annie, but not a great deal of follow-up damage. And actually Stranglethorns was used there from Voidal. That was a super defensive play, and obviously respecting Reason Gaming a great deal right now, who are now trying to turn it around themselves to pick up this Dragon. Crystalline out of position, will be popping on the hunt, does eat an Ace in the hole to the face though. Feberven from the side will be completely burning through Barney D, but they haven't managed to finalize that kill. Odoamne in the meanwhile is being chased down from Beansu, who's taking a lot of damage himself from Hyanan, but Trashy will go on to Voidal. Interesting enough that he would focus out the support first. He's going to be taken out from Odoamne, and now suddenly in the blink of an eye it turns around in Reason Gaming's favor. Odoamne is very low, and they should be able to pick up this Dragon.
There was a couple of key things that happened there. The initial Stranglethorns was used to disengage because Cloud9 didn't know where Binsu was. They knew he was back and likely on his way. Ku is going to look to steal here. Yeah, this might be a difficult one to get, although Trashy isn't there, so no smite. It's actually not going to be difficult because of that lack of smite. Ku will go in, ends up falling for it. But back to that fight, no Stranglethorns meant they couldn't disengage, which meant Voidal fell in that fight off to the side, and it was such a spread fight that Forbidden was trying to duel 2v1 on Chrisland and Barney D because Ku ended up getting dragged off to peel for Hyanan. It was such a spread out fight that Forbidden didn't end up picking off a target. Odoame took massive amounts of damage. Voidal dropped early before he could peel properly, and Ku had so many decisions to make that he ended up just trying to peel for Hyanan, and it ended up that overall they lost a lot of members, but stealing that dragon is the final cherry on that one for Cloud9, because ultimately it means they'll at least draw even, likely come out slightly ahead. That was a very, very complex passage of play.
Voidal's been caught again, and it's going to be the same end result. Barney D actually securing the kill this time around. It's not a kill steal, it's a kill secure. Although, to be fair, Senkook's definitely had that one in his back pocket. But regardless, as you say, Ku's steal of Dragon was just simply phenomenal. It's not going to do enough to put them ahead, but it's going to definitely alleviate some of the pain that they were feeling there in that last fight. Beansu's taking a lot of damage from Odomne. He will be flashing through the wall. Here comes Odomne from the side. We'll pick up that kill.
Just a fight over who got that kill. But going back to that Dragon Steal, I actually was still trying to digest the fight that had just happened. So up until the point I realized Trashy wasn't there, I was like, why is Ku trying to go 1v4 on Dragon? But Ku, of course, knows how to jungle a little bit better than me. And by a little bit, I mean a lot of bit better.
A lot of it better is Ku. He's, as we said before, we said this in the Champion Select on his Lee Sin mechanical plays, one of the top in EU. And he just proved it now. Awesome play. Again, Voidal's been caught. Again, he's going to find himself dead from Zenkooks, and maybe needs to stop taking point in areas where it's not totally secure, because he's going to constantly die, and every time he does, that puts a lot of pressure on the board for his team. Hyanan's been caught from Tibbers. That's going to equate into a very quick fire kill. Ku's now taking the brunt of the damage. He will be flashing away. Odomne now's going to try and play clean up. Featherven takes down one, and they are turning this one back around. Trashy's taking so much damage right now from Cloud9's Odomne, and he's actually going to cue the decoy. He's still going to be chasing afterwards. You've got Featherven from the side, who's going to get picked up from Talon, and Trashy will be going down.
Unfortunately for Forbidden, he actually tried to queue over the ledge there and ended up not quite getting it either. So tried to get away, couldn't get away. But the difference in that fight, it started off very similar. The fact that Voidal ended up getting shredded down by Talon instantly. However, this time, Forbidden got all the way through to the backline, completely undeterred. Managed to pick up a kill there, which is very, very important. They need Forbidden to be in these fights picking up kills. And that's really why Cloud9 were able to kind of turn that one around again.
Yep, indeed. So Cloud9, it looks pretty bad if you look at the 18-9 scoreline, but that doesn't paint the whole picture here, Stress, because gold-wise, it's only about 2.5k, which is a pretty nice chunk of gold in advantage for Reason Gaming, but it's not game-breaking, and the kills are on the right champions. You've got 5 kills on Ryze, 3 kills on Riven. Yes, the AD carry of Caitlyn isn't really forming a lot of damage right now, but that will change in the next 5 to 10 minutes, so if they can just turtle in, I have to feel that Cloud9 have a really good chance of pulling this game back.
Yeah, 5 kills on Ryze is the absolute biggest thing to keep in mind. He's got that Frozen Heart completed, which when you look at the team composition of Reason, they're very heavy stacked into that AD, so the attack speed reduction should actually go a fair way in these team fights, and of course it's a standard Ryze item as it is, because it gives you that extra cooldown reduction and tankiness, but a little thing to note there, Cloud9 really wanted the red buff to go over to Hyanan as he was headed over, but the ward over the backside of the wall means that it had to go over to Ku because he had to get secure of that red buff rather than give it away to Reason. A very, very small difference there. Just means that Hyanan isn't going to be able to kite around quite as well as he would like to in these fights.
Definitely so, but what's the game plan right now for Cloud9? I have to feel it's turtle, get Caitlyn some more farm, get her some more items, and being caught is definitely not on the agenda. That's exactly what's happened. Hyanan gets completely popped down. and that is going to be a middle tower going out as well from the side of Cloud9, taking a lot of damage there from Zenkux, who throws in the reg, nearly takes out Voidal again. That's the mid tower, and again, it's a case of they get caught and they lose objectives for it.
Good warding out by Reason meant that they knew where Ku and Odoamne were at that point, and that's an inhibitor turret. And inhibitor turrets we've seen time and time again. Inhibitors and inhibitor turrets can end up saving you games. I mean, sorry to bring back the feels, but you've only got to look at Gambit versus KT Rolster B for how important it is that you have an exposed inhibitor the longer the game goes.
Yeah, the feels are real there, and it's definitely something to take away from it, is to learn from those mistakes. But it's going to be another objective falling. Reason Gaming are looking to try and take this one out the hands of Cloud9 Eclipse, and it's a very smart play when they have a Ryze. We've talked at length about the late game prowess that Ryze brings to the table. If you end the game around 30 minutes, it simply doesn't matter. So that's pretty much, I think, Reason Gaming's game plan right now.
That was a really important stun landing out from Barney D there, and of course they got the Talisman of Ascension to disengage as well, but super important stun there. Landing on Odoamne meant that he wasn't able to catch up with him, and the thing you have to remember is against the target like Grisland or like Barney D is those first couple of shots from Ryze are going to hit you like a truck once you're stunned. And if you keep running back into your team, then you're essentially just going to be carrying back that spell flux, which of course is going to deal the area of effect damage. So it's one of those things that Ryze once he's at this point with items, and he's nearly at that Seraph's Embrace, only has 75 stacks to go. He's just going to start hitting and doing so much damage.
Alarm bells will definitely be ringing right now for Cloud9 though, when you consider the difference between the AD carries items. Sivir is a good item and a half above Caitlyn right now in this game, and in raw damage output in team fights that's going to equate to so much. So you can see right now Cloud9 can't even try and stop the dragons from falling, and in doing so they're losing more and more gold, they're falling further and further behind. So it's going to come to a point where they're going to have to try and make a big play stress.
There's also something that a little bit interesting about this Zyra pick. The fact that they've gone for the Frost Queen's claim. It's not quite as standard, or it didn't used to be quite as standard, let me put it that way. Of course, in the recent patch, they did adjust not only the active, but a couple of the other little bits on that Frost Queen's item line. So the difference between Talisman of Ascension and Frost Queen's claim is, of course, Talisman of Ascension gives you disengage by boosting your team's movement speed. Frost Queen's claim will slow the enemy movement speed, which is a slightly different way of disengaging. So that means they're kind of relying a lot more on Voidal to use Stranglethorns to provide the area of disengage. However, what Reason have done very well is single out Voidal and force him to use Stranglethorns at really inopportune times. And what that allows Reason to do is catch on picks like Hyanan on Caitlyn, who really, once her net's gone, if she doesn't have Flash, is an easy target.
That's a really good point, because you look at the composition from Cloud9, and so much of it is going to be centered around Stranglethorns, whether you engage or disengage. So as you're saying, if Voidal's dying, just warding, or being caught out of position, and he uses Stranglethorns, that is the green light for Reason Gaming to make plays wherever they so choose. Zenkux is going in, he's doing so much damage to Ku, however, has he been too aggressive, he'll be falling down from the ace in the hole. Ku's going to go down as well. Here comes a Cyclone from Reason Gaming, so yes, it looked aggressive, but it's paying off. Triple kill for Wukong, going back in, triple kill. And now the final kill from Ryze onto Annie. They're going to be able to turn this one around slightly, but still it's a 2-for-3 trade.
No one was there to peel for Hyanan once again, and that time they did use Stranglethorns to disengage, but it was just really nice positioning out from the side through Reason to follow up on that. I don't feel like Reason want to fight Odoamne here, especially not with Forbidden beside him. They do have the numbers advantage, but they're content to clear the wave, shove the cannon minion in. But again, Sivir, quite a short range for pushing down towers, so once the wave is gone, she is not safe to push that tower down.
Yeah, and it was the two most fed up and strong champions on the side of Cloud9 as well. So as you say, if the snare had have landed the Rune Prison on the likes of Crystalline, Febiven would have just jumped on top of Crystalline and he would have been exploded. So smart play, they're going to back on out. Trashy has been caught out of position here from Ku and Febiven. This could turn around nicely. Actually, Dragons rages him through the wall, then Q's onto him, forces the flash from Trashy, who's now been grasping rooted. But Hyanan has a lot of damage right now as he's just finished off his last Whisper. He'll be cutting through Trashy. Turns out to be speed. Both junglers falling down.
Ku going very aggressive there, and they didn't have the read on where the rest of Reason were, so a little bit surprising. I'd like to have seen what Ku saw before engaging there, but of course that inhibitor is back up now for Cloud9, so they feel like they can be a little bit more aggressive now.
Yeah, and Caitlyn is starting to claw her way back into this game. Has 1.5k or thereabouts in the back pocket, so maybe just waiting out to finish off. I would imagine it's probably going to be the Static Shiv, but I'm not entirely sure because you're around 28 to 30 minutes through the game. Is Static Shiv really worthwhile now?
It'll help them with their wave clear in the middle lane. But again, Caitlyn has built up a Peacemaker. I'm a little bit surprised, actually, and don't get me wrong, it's nothing against Hyanan, but he's at 189 to the 243. Of course, Civic clears waves very quickly, but characteristically for Cloud9, I kind of expect them to have had a little bit more farm than they do now. I'm not trying to call anybody out here, but it's just something that we normally see from Cloud9 when they're in control. They're the ones dictating the rotations and allows them to pick up the farm, but that is a big engage range.
It sure is. On the hunt into Beansu, jumping on Voidal will be another kill. Stranglethorns has been used. Here comes a Cyclone on the backside though. Odomne's taking the brunt of the damage. That's a double kill for Irelia. This could very well spell doom for Cloud9. And that was a long range engage, as you said. On the hunt into Beansu, just chasing down Voidal. Will take down that inhibitor and now going to back away.
And Hyanan had to be a little bit careful there at the end, because without Odo Amno, without Voidal, there's not a lot of peel for him, so Cloud9 have got to be careful they don't get baited out by Reason here, because Reason are looking to rotate towards that Baron area, and unless Ku can pull off a Miracle Steal, I'm not even sure about this. Forcing a mid lane fight here would not benefit Cloud9.
Well, Hyanan will be flashing away. 90 caliber net landed on Irelia just beforehand, and I have to feel that may have saved his life. So Reason Gaming going to regroup, go back, probably pick up this blue buff, and come back stronger than ever.
It looked like Cloud9 just really wanted to deter Reason, and they did deter Reason from picking up the Baron, so that is a very good sign that Reason aren't ahead enough to just go, well, we're just going to take Baron, and we don't care that we'll trade out a mid-turret. Reason are going to play this smart. They're not going to allow Cloud9 to get any objectives back, and are they going to allow Beansu to be 1v2'd here?
Well, Hyanan's dishing out some damage with that red buff. Does miss the 90 caliber net, but it's going to be enough with the ace in the hole. I have to feel that Caitlyn would have been a better recipient of that shutdown goal, but who obviously wanted to be sure they got the kill in the first place. Boyle's been caught out from Crystalline, will be standing on top of that Cupcake though, and will be stunned in place. On the hunt has been popped. Crystalline goes down so quickly. My goodness, caught with his pants down around his ankles. And now suddenly Cloud9 have pretty much free reign for the next 30-40 seconds.
And this is the thing, they've got the kills onto Riven, they've got him on Ryze. Ryze wasn't even a participant in that kill there in the jungle, but now they're going to turn around onto Baron, and I wonder, do Reason have enough to really contend with this? They've got Senkux who can silence and then maybe look for the steal from Trashy, so that's probably the combo they're looking for here. That would be a big steal if it happens.
It would definitely be a big steal, but Cyclone Stranglethorns are going to land in conjunction with one another. Trashy's still alive in the back lines. Senkux is going to be falling down low for Cloud9, which is a huge chunk of their damage no longer available, and somehow Ku is still alive in this fight. Just Voidal has fallen, Baron is still very low, so they're going to be picking up this Baron. Flash back in from Odomne will be securing that one out. In fact, Baron has only just been taken down. Can Beansu play the cleanup crew? Doesn't look likely right now. Hyanan and Riven will do enough to keep him away.
But it's not only enough to keep him away. Look at the chase on from Reason Gaming here. There's a Nexus turret has already fallen in the base, and that was so very nearly Reason stealing the Baron as well. Trashy took out Ku right as he dived in on low health to secure the Baron. Ku didn't even get the Baron. It had to be claimed by another member of Cloud9 after Ku had died. Trashy was so close to stealing that himself, but they get a Nexus turret from that as well. Reason Gaming are still dictating the pace of this match, even when Cloud9 looked to have got back into it.
Yeah, it was like a panic flash out there from Barney D. Flashed through the Baron pit wall to stun Trashy, and then it was Febiven that actually secured the Baron kill overall. So, as you say, a couple of butt-clinching moments right there, I have to say, from the side of Cloud9. Because had they have lost that Baron, had the couple more kills gone the opposite way, they actually could have lost. Because, as you say, they've lost the Nexus Tower, and the other one has just 400 hit hit points. Of course, it will regen, but it was very close to falling.
The problem that Cloud9 have, sorry, not Cloud9, the problem that Reason have is, of course, that short range on Sivir. Now, that's not as bad when you consider there's a middle inhibitor that is exposed, but when you take into account Ryze has that snare, it means for them to really siege inhibitors and towers, they have to step forward. And I kind of sound like a broken record on this one, but as long as Cloud9 don't get picked off, they can really easily punish Reason Gaming trying to finish this game too quickly without pushing a lot of waves in.
Well, it's got to that stage, hasn't it, here, Stress, where both teams are starting to reach their very strong levels in the game with items and such. So it's going to come down to the execution now of these team fights. Both teams have found themselves caught out of position a couple times, so it's been quite a loose game in that way. But now all 10 players are going to be facing off against each other. This trench warfare once again will be kicking off. Inhibitor has respawned, so they're not going to have to deal with super minions for that much longer. In fact, yeah, they're not going to have to deal with any more super minions, so that's going to be a bit of a brief respite for the side of Cloud9.
And the funny thing is, both teams know the situation they're in as well. These waves will get cleared before they hit the inhibitor. Forbidden typing into chat, dance, ? Because really, that's all they can do. A Baron up Cloud9 is too strong for Reason to push in, because they clear the wave out, and then Odo Amne is there at 8 and 5. Seraph's Embrace has been finished as well, looking for a Void Staff on top of it. Soon to be, I would imagine, the last item would be a Spirit Visage onto Ryze, and at that point, he can pretty much... I don't want to say solo fight because he can't, but his damage is significant enough that with Forbidden's damage and Hyanen's damage, a fight wouldn't end up benefiting Reason without that pick onto Voidal first.
Yeah, definitely. And as you're speaking there, actually, a couple of ultimates were used. On the Hunt was used from Crystalline, and I thought they were going to go again for that long-range engage that we mentioned previously. And then instantly Ace in the Hole was used from Caitlyn, and pretty much to no effect. So, two ultimates down. Ku, what are you doing? Caught completely out of position, and he will be falling for free. I have no idea what Ku's thought process was there.
I don't know either, and that's the second time we've seen Ku do that. Is extend with a less than warded area, and that's likely it may even be game. I don't know. It depends on what Reason can get done here. It is certainly an inhibitor going to Reason Gaming, because I don't know whether there's any way they can fight this, although look at the damage from Odo Amne.
Odomne and the Strangle Thorns is going to be enough to push them away. Ace in the Hole comes out on Crystalline. Oh my goodness, that chunk damage though was insane. Tibbers has been used on Febiven, but there's no follow-up damage because the AD carry and Binsu were way too low, so that actually could put Barney D in a really horrible position. Sencooks is hiding around from the side. Here comes Trashy, will be flashing in. Febiven also gets himself away. That was an awesome Rune Prison from Odomne. In the meanwhile, Featherben's off to the top side on his own, but he's going to pick up one kill. He's going to pick up two alongside Caitlyn. Odomne coming around from the backside. They're going to take down Reason Gaming's mid laner as well. If Ku can finalize this kill somehow, some way, this Century would be nice. He will be jumping back on. Zencook should be falling. There we go. Finally goes down. And in the meanwhile, as I'm speaking, Barney D's being chased down by Odomne. Nice stun though. Crystalline's round from the side. They could try and turn this one back around.
They can't fight this. Even though Civ is there, they cannot fight this.
What are they doing? They're taking so much damage, and that's going to be the flash Q. So the overload is going to be enough to secure that kill. This is the League of Throws, if ever I've seen one. Odomne now has so much movement speed. He's going to be chasing Barney D. Ku from the side. Can he manage to land that Q? Yes, he can. In fact, it was a Dragon's Rage to the forehead of Annie, and she will be going down.
And the award for slowest but most effective ward jump goes to. But nevertheless, Cloud9 have got to the point in the game where Ryze is just going to control fights. Fights like that, you just gotta, I'm kind of lost for words, but I've been saying it all game. Ryze is going to punish the short range from Reason Gaming, and we've seen it in action here. The pick that they got onto Ku in that lower jungle was one of the only members that really is almost irrelevant in Cloud9's game plan right now. That's the problem with playing Lee Sin jungle, is in the late game you become essentially just an engage tool with a kick. The rest of the damage from Cloud9 and the disengage was still there, and Reason decided to try and fight it, and massive damage went on to Crystalline early on. He was zoned out. They didn't have that damage in the fight. From there, Odo Amne is just getting easy targets in that team fight, and I'm not sure how Reason Gaming are going to come back and try and close this one out.
We've seen 3 or 4 really questionable judgment calls from both teams. Ku getting caught around the Wraith camp, if you remember, just a couple of minutes ago, Stress. We were both scratching our heads. Then an engage that was like a will they, won't they. It was a flirtatious blue balls kind of fight where no one wanted to fully commit. And then as a result, Cloud9 got the upper hand. Then Crystalline turns back round onto Rise. And it's like, it's very, very strange, some of these decision makings. That being said, they're in the heat of the moment. It's easy for us, the casters, to just like sit back and enjoy the show. They're playing this. They are going through the trials and tribulations themselves.
I'm not sure Rise would be too happy about you talking about his family jewels like that, but
Well,
nevertheless.
what can I say?
First time I've ever heard the words blue balls used in a cast.
Well, it's apt because it was so flirtatious. It's like neither team wanted to fully commit, and as a result, Cloud9 got the upper hand. In fact, they're pinging this inhibitor, and this could turn into a base race. In fact, it's not.
Okay, that's a much better choice.
Yeah, O'Domney is taking the brunt of the damage. Is it going to be enough? Those Stranglethorns lands on 3 players, most notably on Beansu and the AD carry of Crystal. They're going to try and clean this one up, but Featherman in the meanwhile is going to pick up a double kill. Will be saved out from Ku's safeguard as well. Crystalline from the side, and that's going to probably be Ku falling. In fact, no, it's not, as Crystalline and Ali are both dropped. Just Talon remains in this 1 versus 3 situation. A slight saving grace is that Ku and Featherman are very low on hit points, but Baron is up, and this should be a free one.
Low on hit points, but they will turn the Baron damage and pass it between themselves. I said that was the better choice. To be honest, I feel like it still was. If they had blown up Odo Amne there, they would have been able to secure that fight. Senkux takes out Ku, so no smite is going to be available here, but between Forbidden and Hyanan, they will take down this Baron.
Yeah, and they've got this with ease. I guess it's going to stop Ku from having the Baron buff, but Senkux is also going to find himself in the Death Chamber for 50 seconds. This is going to allow Hyanan to get some more farm. So I was saying about 10-15 minutes ago that Hyanan was about an item and a half behind the opposite number of Crystalline. He's definitely bridged that gap. He is very relevant in this game right now. So they've managed to turn long enough to make this a very difficult game for Reason Gaming to actually take and win.
Yeah, they're actually even on gold between the AD carries as well now. But the thing is, Hyanan's damage isn't even the bulk of the damage out of Cloud9, which sounds really weird when you talk about an AD carry that he's just there for extra damage. At this point in the game, all of the damage being provided by Hyanan is very, very nice, but Odo Amne is kind of content to just shoot everybody with that machine gun spellcaster way. So any extra damage that they can get is brilliant because it allows Rise to do his job even faster, even down to the Liandry's Torment onto Voidal. So when that Stranglethorns goes down, you get that percentage damage, and really it's just leaving Reason very open to being picked off. But you saw that again in that fight. The area of Stranglethorns while in a lane is so big that Reason couldn't fight that. Even though they got the engage on Odo Amne, they couldn't burst him down to too much damage. And now there's a couple of members with Baron. How are Reason going to fight this? I have to think that they can't, because they've lost their gold lead and they really don't have the scaling lead either.
And another thing as well is that you look at the composition right now from Reason Gaming, they're predominantly AD damage, attack damage. They're going to be caught right now. Beansu gets kicked back, and if he falls, this is going to spell curtains, this is going to spell doom for Reason Gaming unless they can pull off a huge play right now. The creep wave clear is very high from Cloud9. They should be able to pick up this tower with ease. Ku firing out the resonating strike, Sonic Wave not going to be able to land. Here comes the re-engage though from Trashy. They pick up 1, they pick up 2. Aren't they able to get any more off the back of this though? Hyanan goes in, finishes off the kill onto Trashy. So that is a 3-for-2 global exchange right there, with Beansu falling just beforehand. Crystalline has been caught. He's gonna fall as well. The burst damage is huge, and with all the players barring Barney D alive, they could look to push the Nexus towers.
And this is the difference between the two teams. C9 can siege from a much farther distance, and with Odo Amne there, you saw them just blow up Crystalline, and Hyanan got the final hit on that one. Barney D is gonna fall as well. And that is a convincing hold by Cloud9 here in game number 2 of this best of 3.
The marking of a truly great team is being well behind in the early stages and managing to pull it back, because that resilience, that tenacity is such an important value, it's such an important virtue to have, and that's exactly what Cloud9 did in that game. They looked dead and buried around the 10-15 minute mark, but they managed to bounce back.
They did, and that was